Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The most common acts of violence against women in Nigeria include sexual harassment, physical violence, and harmful traditional practices. Two headlines this week highlighted this. First of which was Senator Elisha Abu physically assaulting a woman in Abuja and rape allegations of an Abuja-based pastor by a second accuser. Joining us is lawyer and women's rights advocate Toyin Taiwo-Ojo to speak on the legal steps we all need to know and to take to help bring perpetrators to justice. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
So let's start off by talking about the topical issues that we have now. The case of the Senator Abu, who had this public apology in a press briefing but was still detained by the police. He's now been released on bail. What do we expect? What does the public expect? And also the case of this second allegation against the pastor in Abuja by a lady called Busola Dakolo, which happened, the alleged incident, the alleged rape occurred many years ago. She was 17 years old. So, and then the current news is that she's actually filed a report. Some people are wondering why she's filing a report now. So let's look at that from a societal point of view and also a legal point of view, because there's a misunderstanding with the law. We don't actually have a statute of limitations, do we, in Nigeria? You can file a rape charge, even 20 years after, 30 years after.
Yes.
Please, can we discuss that so people know?
All right. For a crime, there's actually no statute of limitation. A crime can be reported even 100 years after it has happened. Yes. If you have evidence, you could go to court to seek redress, to get justice now. So, Busola coming out at this time, there's no crime in it. So when she was ready to come out, that was when she came out. And if she had evidence, she could get the justice she desired. But I do not know if it was justice that Busola desires. Because I believe I'm a survivor, and I believe that Busola wanted closure. And that is what most survivors actually want. Because it's something you relive, you keep on seeing every day of your life. It's like a part of you. And then for you to quiet those demons, you speak up and get that closure.
So she's actually not necessarily looking for him to be convicted?
No, I do not think so. I spoke up after 32 years.
Sorry again. How many years?
32 years.
32 years.
Yes, that's when I spoke up.
How old were you when the
I was
abuse?
5.
Did you speak up to your family or did you file charges?
No, I didn't speak up to anybody. Funny, it happened, I was able to speak up in 2017.
And that's the first time you said anything?
That was the first time. That was
To
the first time ever.
Who did you?
Funny enough, I spoke somebody who came to my office to speak about using sports to help heal survivors. And I said, do you know what? I want to. And it was emotional. That was the day I really cried about it.
Did you even know you were going to say anything that day?
No.
So please, can you address the people who query women who don't speak out for decades and sort of imply that negates the story that they have to tell?
Well, I actually know that a lot of people don't understand. Ignorance, you could say. Then two, I also get to understand that a lot of our society is hypocritical. Yes. We have this ingrained culture of silence. It happened to you. It happened to me. And I'm not speaking out. So why should you? Yes.
I've actually read those exact words. Yes.
People tell me that it's gone. I had 4 kids before I could speak up. I had 4 children. And then, but you know one thing, people don't understand. And for me, Busola, I don't know her personally, but I'm going to use my own experience. There are times you want to make love, and the memory comes. It's so vivid. And you close up, you clam up. it affects your sex, your love life.
Your sexual life,
Yes,
all your
it's-
life.
Yes. But I began to began to have a better sexual experience when I spoke up.
I want to ask you about 5-year-old you, and I want to go back to that time. How long and who did you know the person?
Yes, he was an artisan. My mom was building a house. I'm sure my mom is watching it now, and this is the first time she's hearing it.
Are you comfortable?
Yes.
Okay, please tell us.
Yes. He was an artisan, he was a plumber. I remember his name. 32 years ago it happened. I remember his name. I'm 39 now, so that would be like
34 years
34 years ago. So I remember his name, Eugene, because he comes in to, do things, plumbing works for my mom and everything. We're living in a house, a smaller building in front, but they were building the bigger one at the back. And then I think I was playing, and I remember he used to buy things for me. And that's what we call grooming. As I grew older and became a social crusader, I got to know what he did then. But even at that time, I didn't know what, I just knew that he kept on buying things for me, and then he called me his wife. I was a child who was always lost in my own world. From a very young age, I was always imagining things. I don't normally play with my peers. So I always played alone, and that's what they target. They don't target the talkative ones. The pedophiles target the younger children, the ones who are always alone. So one day, I think my grandma, who was always around, went out, and then he called me, and to the back of the house where there's no traffic, human traffic, and then he carried me on his laps, and then he said, I like you and everything. I wasn't comfortable, but in Africa, we are trained not to disrespect elders. I wasn't comfortable with him carrying me, but I couldn't do anything. I was on his lap, and then I remember he opened his fly. I've never seen a turgid penis before. And I was scared, but I couldn't go down. And then he held my mouth, and then the rest is history.
Wow. Did it ever happen again after that?
No, because I remember he trying to go in, penetrate, and then he was saying something, you are not ready. So I guess I wasn't the only one in that compound.
So
Yes, the other children, because he was saying something, you are still very tight. You are not yet ready, but I will get you ready. Yes.
Yeah, this is so. This is so heavy for me.
I know. I'm so.
Usually I'm not at a loss for questions, but this has taken me surprised. I want to know, now you're a parent. Children a lot of times are the unfortunate victims of these predators and this abuse.
Yes.
What are the values we need to teach our kids now? What are the things you now can see, looking back, that you can implement and you can share with other parents that are watching?
I think we have to begin to give our children sex education. I never knew what he was doing. I didn't know. I only got to know when I was a bit older. But the pain was what scarred me. I have children now. I have 3 girls and a boy. What I do is, immediately they are like 6 months, I'm changing their diapers. I'm teaching them their private parts. They are not speaking. They don't talk at that time. But I keep on telling them, this is your penis, this is your anus. Because I find, why are we so bold to tell people, our children, parts of the body? We call the head, the eyes, the nose, but we never teach them about their privates. So I decided, even before I became an advocate, I decided to teach my children this. And by the time my children are 1 year plus before they start speaking, my children can identify their private parts. And it helps for children to identify their private parts. We do not pray for children to be molested. we should be preventing it. But when it happens, it helps the children. It helps even advocates. It helps the law that the children know what they are talking concisely. Do you understand? Because when a child goes before the courts, of course it's in the chambers, and it's a child who has been molested and said, no, he touched my penis. He did this to me, and he can't describe succinctly what happened to him. It helps the case a lot. The judge is aware. He knows that the child knows what he's saying. Not when a child is molested and the child is saying, he touched my bum bum, my bum bum. You know, it's in law. We are always concise. We like things being defined. So when you say he touched my bum bum, he touched my bum bum, a good defense lawyer could actually easily pierce that argument. Bum bum could be anything. It could be the anus, it could be. So what are we talking about? We tell the child your vagina, your anus, and the child is able to say he touched my vagina, or he used his penis to penetrate my vagina. It helps the case of the prosecution.
Yeah, very powerful.
So looking at it from a legal point of view, I'm not sure if you were listening to our previous guest.
Yeah.
He mentioned the Child Rights Act,
Yes.
which is a convention that Nigeria signed. Therefore, it needs to be domesticated in all the individual states of the Federation, which it has not been. Deliberately, we all understand the cultural issues of giving children rights. Some people struggle with that concept. What needs to happen in Nigeria? Because even before that, this Child Rights Act situation did not arise until former President Olusegun Obasanjo's tenure. Since time immemorial in Nigeria, we have operated two criminal systems, penal code in the north, criminal code in the south. Do you think at this point it needs to be unified for clarity? And do you also think with regards to rape, not child molestation now, our law is so narrow. Even the definition of rape falls short of international standards. What needs to be done? So on this note, we'll go on a quick break, and then when we come back, I'll take your answer. Welcome back. You're watching the morning show here on Arise News. We're still with Toyin Taiwo-Ojo. Toyin, just before we went on the break, I was talking about the multiplicity of laws and how that creates an impediment to victims getting justice. What do you think needs to happen to streamline the process?
That's a very deep question. I don't see any immediate solution to that. Why? We're a multicultural society. And we're multi-religious. Anytime you bring up issues like this, the religious bigots, they begin to shout, they begin to clamor that this is our culture. But I also am aware that even in some core Muslim countries, like Egypt, I know that they have a unified law. But in Nigeria, we play politics with everything.
Yes, even with our law.
Yeah, with our law, we play politics. As it stands now, we have those 24 states that have domesticated the child's right law.
No, actually, it's 15. The other ones don't even practice it.
They don't practice it.
They will insist that you come under penal code or criminal code.
Yes.
They don't enforce it.
But like we just rightfully said, when there is a case of rape, like there is a case that was, I kind of talked about that was ongoing in Abuja, and the convicted is about to be released or is set to be released, and there was a lot of protest. Why is it in that situation that somebody who has been convicted of rape can actually possibly go free? Why are they not life imprisonment?
Yes. You see, we have the child's right law. With the minimum the child's right law gives to a convicted rapist is life imprisonment. And life imprisonment, a judge or a magistrate, of course, may not have the powers to, remand the person forever until he does his case. But the judge normally has that right, that power.
Yes.
You understand me? We have a situation where our country, like in Lagos, we have what we call the Special Sexual Offenders Court.
Okay.
That's like a high court.
Yes.
Where cases could be channeled to. But what we have in this instance is people charging these pedophiles, rapists under the criminal code. And the criminal code, there's 7 years, 12 years, depending on the discretion of the magistrate. It's bailable. Yes.
Okay.
It is bailable. It is not a capital offense. But if you charge under the child right law, it becomes a capital offense, and they can't go on bail.
Yes.
Because the fear will be there that if you should release someone who is facing a capital punishment, the person could abscond.
Exactly.
But I think we also have to educate our police officers. We have very good, I work with some of the very best. Yeah, there's some very dedicated and passionate police officers who really care about children and care about, victims, survivors now.
Yes.
But we also have those who, out of ignorance, they don't know.
They insist on using the criminal code.
The criminal code.
Yes.
They don't know. I have a case now I'm handling, and at the next sitting, I intend to, advise the prosecutor, we have to amend the charges. This accused person have to be charged under the
Child right
law. Because with that, I have the assurance that justice, at least for the victim, because the survivor, anytime he sees these accused persons, she or he continues to relive this experience.
And let's
Did
talk
that happen
for the
to
benefit,
you?
I'm sorry, for the benefit of the public, still on the legal issue, let's talk about the medical reports, because this is something that frustrates a lot of survivors and their legal representatives. Can you explain to the public what needs to happen with medical reports? A lot of people don't understand.
Yes. When there's a case of rape, most people quickly go to the private hospital to at least get relief. But that's a very wrong step. I know as a survivor, you're pained, you're going through emotional, physical pain, and you just want to get, relief as soon as possible. The first thing you do, don't even wash up. Don't. That's the first thing is for you to wash away the dirt. Because you see, most people who go through rape, they feel so dirty. They begin to use, a lot of them even use hot water, scalding hot water, to try to, quench that pain. But that's not the best way if you want to get justice. The first thing you do is, with your torn panties, if there's a torn panties, if there is, because at times it could be, it could be that you even allowed it in quotes, so that you won't get hurt. Yes, there is a rape like that. We have spousal rape, we have date rape, but in Nigeria, of course, we know spousal rape is...
There is no time. I think I read on that.
Yes, but what you do is you go to the police station to file a case. Let them incident it. Then you insist that they give you the medical form. The police has the medical form. They give it to you, and then you take it to the general hospital. Please, I will advise survivors not to think of going to a private hospital, because they will do, that will be inimical to their case. Yes. A good defense prosecution will just, throw it out.
So what you're saying is that if you get a rape kit from a private hospital,
yes,
that could be thrown out.
Yes. Yes.
That could not be part of your evidence. I just want to make sure, because people are, I want this to be so clear.
Apart on that one issue.
It's not as if it's not part of your evidence. It's not as if it's not part. It's not as if the court will not even admit it.
But it will be argued. Don't say you paid. Yes. They might say you paid for it. If you go to a government hospital, that does not arise.
Yes.
Okay. So a government hospital is where you go to get a rape kit if you want justice.
Yes.
Let's just make sure everybody knows that.
To make sure that you are educated to know that the Child's Right Act is what you need to, not criminal.
That's
what you want them to do.
You want them to file under criminal.
Because people still use the criminal code. It's maddening.
Yeah.
Yes. And it makes the victim feel as if we are trivializing the pain. The physical pain gets healed easily. I keep on telling people, and when I talk with my survivors, I see beyond the physical pain. It's the emotional. And that emotional pain, you relieve it every time you see the survivor strutting around. The accused person strutting around as if, look, nothing's going to happen to me. That's the worst. And that is where you see, if it's in advanced countries, you see where they can easily get access to guns and everything, you see the survivor going ahead to commit a bigger crime, trying to kill, because it's something, you just see this person and you be like,
why? I want to, you know, I've been reading a lot based on these cases that have happened recently, these rape cases, alleged. But why, rape is a crime, we all know that. So then why do you feel that a lot of times the victims are the ones that get the blame, the victims are the ones that take the shame? You know, they always say that you have had to have done something, either you were wearing a skirt, you know, maybe you stayed out late. It's not a crime to stay out late, it's not a crime to wear a skirt, it's not a crime even on the number of sexual partners you've had. So why is it that the victims are the ones who get blamed when rape is the actual crime?
Our society makes the victim to be the criminal, instead of making the rapist to be the criminal that he is or she is, because women also rape. But the truth of the matter is, you see, when you speak out, Busola spoke out, and everybody's condemning her. Even people that
Horrendous.
In fact, it's horrendous. It's horrific. For like 3 days after she came out, I couldn't speak. I didn't post anything on my handles because I knew where she was coming from. And I was reading comments, and I was horrified. There's somebody who I respected so much, a lawyer of 35 years. Yes, a senior lawyer. And he was saying something that the society is now becoming westernized. That why are women coming out to say they've been raped?
Imagine that.
And even with the second victim, there's another lady who has come out to kind of corroborate her story and as well. And she was in close proximity with the family, and it was just, you know, just a lot. And same thing, people were saying, but why are you even talking? Do you understand? We've heard enough of this situation. As if we're reading a story. There's enough of this going on.
It's not a script.
We don't need to hear any more about it.
It's not a script. When I came out, it was 34 years. 32 years after it happened to me, and I came out, I was 37, and I came out to speak. If he was highly placed, people would say because he's a celebrity, that's why I'm targeting him.
Yes.
But I spoke about Eugene, but I guess maybe he's dead, because maybe he's dead or he's still a plumber or wherever or whatever. People are not saying that. People are not saying that about it. But because her own alleged rapist is a celebrity, people are now condemning her. Do you understand me? It does not, like I say, I told people on my handle I posted, I said, she spoke when she was ready. You get a lot of women, they say, a lot of women are moody, depressed. I told a friend of mine, I said, anytime you sleep with a raped woman, a woman who has had the experience, she's not making love to you. She's reenacting the sexual experience, the bitter sexual experience she had. At times, when the memories come, you see her shoving you off. And you're wondering, is she a tease? No, she's not. It's something that she couldn't control.
Trauma.
It's a trauma. And in Nigeria, we don't have that environment where people go to psychologists, to a shrink, to talk about it, go through therapy, talk about it.
Let me...
Okay.
You know, right before
we have 1 more minute, and so I just want, for parents that are watching, parents that have children, that have 5-year-olds, what are the things they must always do?
Be friendly to your children. Talk to them. Talk to them as you talk to your best friend. You know, when you have your girlfriend around, the way you gist with them.
Yes.
Talk to your children like that. Ask them, how was your day? I guess if somebody had asked me then, how was your day? Probably, I may have spoken up. We need to, cultivate the habit of making our children open to us.
So trust is really important in
us.
communication. Okay.
Well, trust. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
You too.
It's time now. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to review the newspaper headlines.